you are about to take the first unit summative test without you even being in class for the entire thing. That is very challenging, very aggravating, but I need you to kind of follow the quote here, and you just have to stick with it. You have to be persistent. You have to just keep pushing through and try tapping into any resources you can to help you understand what's going on. So this is going to be a little walkthrough similar to what the assessment is. So there's going to be 2 tasks, and you're going to make a screencast for one of the tasks. You get to choose. So let's take a look. Task 1 is going to be something similar to these top 3 problems, and you'll have to explain all 3 in that box for task 1. Then task 2 will be something similar to number 4, and you'll have to do that entire thing of all the intercepts, vertex, domain, range, graph, and all of that. So those are 2 different tasks. You choose between which one you want to do. So just to kind of help you with those, let's take a look at these. So for factoring completely, that's where we do the diamond. Sometimes though, like when we have a binomial, we're going to look at pulling out the least common factor. So if we're looking at 7x squared and a 21x, this is where we did the prime factors. So we're looking at the number 7, and it is a prime number, so the only factors are 7. Then we're looking at x squared, and that can be broken up into x and x. Then we can look at 21x. Don't pay attention to the minus sign at this point. So the number 21 broken up into prime factors, it's 3 times 7, because 3 can't be broken up anymore, 7 can't be broken up anymore, and then we have an x. So you want to look at what do they have in common. So they both have a 7, they both have an x, and that's it. So the least common factor coming out is going to be 7x. So 7x, and then we kind of look at what's left inside. 7x times what gives you the x squared? Well, it's what was missing here, just that x. And then you're thinking 7x times what gives you a negative 21x. And it's going to be that missing piece right there. And then now the minus sign comes into play. So it's 7x times x minus 3. That's our final answer. That's factored completely. If we're looking at one of these problems, it's the diamond. And we always look at that first number, and it gets multiplied by this. So 3 times negative 10 is negative 30, and that goes up top. Then our positive 13 goes on the bottom. And we're thinking 2 numbers that multiply together to be this top negative 30 that add up to be the bottom positive 13. So 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 30 that add up to be 13. And that's going to be a positive 15 and a negative 2. Because this was a 3x squared out in front, we write these over 3x. One or both of these are going to be able to reduce. So if we look over here on the left, 15 over 3x, 15 divided by 3 is 5 over 1. So this reduces to 5 over 1x. The negative 2 over 3x doesn't reduce anymore. So we take this, kind of turn it on its side to where there's a 1x and a positive 5. So that's what we're getting as a factor, a 1x and a positive 5. Then we look at over here on its side, a 3x and a negative 2. So a 3x and a negative 2. So that's what it factors to completely. That's our answer. If we look at the last one, same thing. We have this number out in front. It gets multiplied by that negative 4, and that's the number that's going on the top of our diamond. Then we look at this middle term, a positive 11, and it goes right there. Two numbers that multiply together to be the top that add up to be the bottom. So we're looking at the number 12 and negative 1. 12 times negative 1 is negative 12. 12 plus negative 1 is a positive 11. Because this had a 3x squared out in front, we write it over 3x. One or both of them will reduce. We look at this one on the left. 12 over 3 reduces to 1 or 4 over 1x, and then the one on the right does not. So we turn this one on its side, and it's like a 1x and a positive 4. So a 1x and a positive 4. Then we look at this one, and it's a 3x and a minus 1. So we have 3x minus 1. That is factored completely. So if you choose task 1, you would explain all three of those type problems for the actual assessment. If you're choosing task 2, you would do a screencast for this bottom one. So if we look, it says determine the x-intercepts and vertex and sketch the graph. And we have the domain, range, and other stuff there. So factoring this, there's a 1 right there. So it's a 1 times the negative 5. That's the top of the diamond. Then this positive 4 is the bottom one. Two numbers that multiply together to be negative 5 that add up to be 4. So we're thinking positive 5 and negative 1. Because it's over a 1x out in front, it's going to be a 1x there. So those are already going to be reduced. Our factors then, when you turn this on its side, are a 1x plus 5, and then a 1x minus 1. So that's factored, but in order to find the x-intercepts, you set each of those equal to 0. So you set x plus 5 equals 0. You set x minus 1 equals 0. So then when we go to solve this, subtract 5 from both sides, and you're getting x equals negative 5. What that means is the x-intercept is negative 5, 0. With this other one, we would add 1 to both sides. So you're getting x equals 1. So your x-intercept is the 1, 0. So we can go to our graph, plot those 2 points, negative 5, 0, and 1, 0. The y-intercept, we know you just put 0 in for x, and everything ends up canceling out, because if I put a 0 there and a 0 there, those are gone, and you're only left with that c term, a negative 5. We remember that from last unit. So the y-intercept is 0, negative 5. Coincidence that there's a negative 5 for the x-intercept and y-intercept. So 0, negative 5 is right there. For the vertex is directly in the middle of the x-intercepts. So you can either take the average, so your x-intercept of negative 5 and your x-intercept of 1, and you add them together divided by 2. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So negative 2 is going to be your x value for the vertex. To find the y value, you plug that into the original equation. So -2. So I'm using this right here. -2 squared plus 4 times -2 and then -5. -2 squared, +4. 4 times a -2 is a -8. Then we have the -5. So 4 minus 8 is -4. -4 minus 5 equals -9. So that gives us this value, the y value. So -2, -9 is the vertex. So -2, -9 is right there. And we can make our U-shaped parabola to connect those points. If you didn't want to take the average to get this value of -2, you can also just know it's going to fall directly in the middle of these points. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. So that means 3 spaces from each side would be the middle. So 1, 2, 3, you fall there. 1, 2, 3, you fall there. There's the axis of symmetry going right through that. So you knew it was going to be a -2. You just had to plug it in to then get -9 on the bottom. Then when it comes to domain and range, domain we know is always all real numbers for all quadratic functions. So -infinity to +infinity. Then the range, you're looking at the lowest point. That's right down here at -9. It's hitting -9, so it's a box bracket. And then what's the highest point it goes to? It goes all the way up to infinity. So hopefully that'll help you with the assessment. Again, you'll either choose explaining something similar to all 3 of these on the top as one task, or this bottom one as a separate task. Don't be afraid to send me any messages. Make that screencast. Make sure the microphone's on. I want to hear you and show me doing what you're doing. Good luck. I believe in all of you. Bye.